The title of the message that I'm about to minister is Amunah does not compromise. Amunah does not compromise. You know, just like, for example, they told you to do something that is not right in the sight of YAHUAH, and they say if you did not do it, you will be punished. You'll be punished severely for it. And you look at the punishment, they say, okay, this punishment can even take your life if you are not careful. So what are you going to be doing? Are you going to give in because they said you are going to be punished, or are you going to obey YAHUAH's instructions for your life? Amunah does not compromise. And we're going to be looking at the servants of YAHUAH, the very important men, Mishael, Ananiah, and Azariah, which they call in the Babylon, they call them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You see, they did not compromise because their life was in danger. Let us look at the scripture right now. But before we go ahead, we're going to be reading the second commandment. The second commandment of Abba YAHUAH. So this is the second commandment. It's from Shamut, which they translate to Exodus, chapter 20, verse 4 to 6. It says, you must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or an image of anything in the Shamaim or on the Arat, which they translate to earth, or in the Yam, which they translate to sea. YAHUAH is telling us in this second commandment, he said, you must not make for yourself an idol of any kind. This is a command from Abba YAHUAH. Abba YAHUAH has given us this command that you must not make for yourself, just like Brother Robert was, preaching, talking about the celebration, the pagan festivals, bringing trees into their homes. And without your Amunah, you cannot get to this message. You cannot understand this very message that YAHUAH is giving you, this command. He said you must not make for yourself an idol of any kind, or an image of anything in the Shamaim or on the Arat or in the Yam, which they translate to sea. Verse 5 now said, this verse 5 is a major instruction. The command has come out, which is the verse 4. The verse 4 is the major command. Then the instruction of the command is in the verse 5 and 6. He said, you must not bow down to them, to any idol or of any kind. Even though you are not the one that made it, you must not bow down to any idol of any kind. He said, you must not bow down to them or worship them. For I, YAHUAH, I am your Aluah. I am a jealous Aluah, who will not tolerate your affection. Your affection. Take note of this very word, your affection. YAHUAH said he will not tolerate your affection. He will not tolerate your affection for any other Elohims. Elohims is what they translate to mighty ones. He said he will not tolerate your affection to other mighty ones. What is this affection? A lot of people give their affection to their clothes. They turn their clothes to mighty ones. If they don't have that clothes, they will be like, who is dying? He said, YAHUAH said, will not tolerate your affections to any other mighty ones, idols and deities. He said, YAHUAH said, I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entire family is affected. Even the children in the third and fourth generation of those who reject me. But now he's not going to barack the ones that obey his command in verse 6. He said, but I lavish unfailing love for 1,000 generations on those who love me and obey my commandments. You see, your obedience to YAHUAH's commandment is everything. And YAHUAH is telling you, like, say, will not tolerate your affection to any other mighty ones. Your affect, just for you to have an affection towards anything on this Arat, you have already turned that to mighty ones. I told some persons some time ago, I said, do you know that you can create a mighty one in your house with like your bottled water? For example, you can hold a bottled water and put it somewhere, and you have a need for something, and you just go there and open the bottled water and sprinkle it that whatever you are looking for, you get, let it come to you. And actually the thing came to you suddenly. You said, this bottled water is performing magic, is doing miracle. You will not see yourself now, you just lost that bottled water. And that's what is happening here in Africa. When they will pray for water, they will give, everybody should carry a gallon of water. They will want the pastors and the religious pastors and everything, they will pray for the water and say, when you get home, sprinkle it everywhere in your house, do this, do that. You have not turned that already, the bottled water or maybe the gallon of water, to a mighty one. Then another thing, you are looking for a child, and you are using the water to be praying. You just be sprinkling the water. At the end of the day, the child came in. You will not say, this thing is really working. You will see that suddenly you will create a space for that bottled water, and you will decorate it, and every time your heart will be going out to it. YAHUAH say, will not tolerate your affection to any mighty ones, nothing at all. Say, will not tolerate your affection to nothing. They use gold, they use the property they have. That is their mighty ones. YAHUAH say, will not tolerate your affection to any other mighty one, nothing at all. So mark this very part, your affection. YAHUAH will not tolerate it when you misuse your affection to any other mighty ones. I'm going to be bringing the story of these 3 great men that YAHUAH brought to us to guide us in this time of life. So the Rabbi YAHUAH. Daniel, which they translate to Daniel chapter 3, verse 1. King Nebuchadnezzar now made a gold statue. Now, there are 3 young men in Babylon that went for the slavery at that time. So King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue. Let's read on. King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue 90 feet tall and 9 feet wide, and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Then he sent message to the high officers, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the provincial officials to come to the dedication of the statues he had set up. He now called everybody to come to dedicate the statues. Remember the commandment of YAHUAH said, you must not bow down, you must not make any image, and you must not bow down to any image. So he now called everybody. Now he created the statues and he called everybody to come dedicate it. Verse 3 he said, so all the officials, all of them came and stood. They all stood before the statue King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. It's time for them to activate their evil deity. Then a herald shouts out, people of all race and nation and language, listen to the king's demand. When you hear the sound of the horn, flutes, zither, lyre, harp, pipes, and other musical instruments, bow to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. So when you hear the sound of the music, everyone should bow to the ground and worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statues. Anyone who refuses to obey will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace. This is now, he now gave a command. YAHUAH has commanded us in his commandments. YAHUAH gave his commandments that you must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything, and say you must not bow down to any image. Now, the children of Yasharal, they invited idol worshipping into the nation, and at the end of the day, YAHUAH rejected them from the nation Yasharal, and they were now in bondage. They were now in they were not captives in Babylon. And now in Babylon, the king of Babylon, which is Nebuchadnezzar, he now created his own image, a very tall gold statue, and he's about to dedicate. He said, everyone, he said all languages, everybody, all nations, as far you are in the Babylonian nation at that very time, when you hear the sound of the music, you must bow down to that image. Say you must bow down to that image. And this is the replica of what will happen at the end of time, the tribulation time, when the man of sin will create his own image, when he will force everybody to bow down to that image. That anybody that does not bow down to the image will be killed immediately. It's there in the scriptures, in Shazayon, which they translate to Revelation. The same statue will be carved everywhere. You see? So let's read on. Verse 7. It says, so at the sound of the music instrument, all the people, whatever their race or nation or language, bowed. He said, whatever their race or nation or language, whatever your nation, your race or language is, you must bow. Because King Nebuchadnezzar is the superpower at that time. Babylon is a superpower at that time, so everybody comes to Babylon to pay their dues. So now, he said, so at the sound of the music instrument, all people, whatever their race or nations or language, bow to the ground and worship the gold statues that King Nebuchadnezzar has set up. But some of the astrologers went to the king and informed him of the YAHUAH. This is the YAHUAH that YAHUAH has given this command to, the 10 commandments, that you must, which is the second commandment, you must not have any image and you must not bow down to any image. Then I report them to King Nebuchadnezzar that this man did not bow. They said to the king, long live the king. Verse 10, you issued a decree requiring all the people to bow down and worship the gold statue when they hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, pipe, and other musical instruments. That decree, he said that decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into the blazing furnace. They are not telling the king now, this is what you said, and anybody that does not obey will be thrown into the blazing furnace. So at the end of the day, say that decree also states that those who refuse to obey must be thrown into a blazing furnace. Verse 12. But there are some YAHUAH, Ananayahu is the one they translate, is the one they call, because they gave them names when they took them for captive to Babylon. They changed their names. So Ananayahu, which is his real Abari name, they changed it to Shadrach. Mashal, they now call him Meshach in Babylon. Then Azariah, they now call Azariah, which is the one they translate in other scriptures to Azariah. You know, Azariah. You know, so is Azariah. That's his original name. They now call Azariah Abednego, whom you have set up. Let me read again. Say, there are some YAHUAH, Ananiah, which is Shadrach, Mashal, which is Meshach, and Azariah, which is Abednego, whom you have put in charge of the province of Babylon. They pay no attention to you, your majesty. They refuse to serve your deity and do not worship the gold you have set up. Say, they do not worship the gold statues you have set up. Then verse 13 said, then Nebuchadnezzar flew into a rage and ordered that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego be brought before him. When they were brought in, so when they were brought in, Nebuchadnezzar said to them, is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my deity or worship the gold statue I have set up? Now look at it now. This is so important that you understand. He said, is it truth that you go against my decrees? First decree was the decree, the ultimate command is the one that YAHUAH gave in his commandments. That's the ultimate command. It supersedes every other command of anybody. Then now, King Nebuchadnezzar has given his own command also. He commanded everybody, every race, nations, and language, that if they hear the sound of the music, they should bow down to worship the gold statue that he has set up. So now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they know they report the results that will come from disobeying YAHUAH when they go worship idol, when they bow down to any idol. Because YAHUAH specifically said, I will not tolerate your affection to any idol. So the ultimate power, which is Abba YAHUAH, has given his command. Then a man now came in and gave his own command that anybody that does not bow down, YAHUAH said you must not bow down. Then the man said, if you did not bow down, you will be thrown into the burning furnace. Then now it's your choice to make. Who do you want to obey? Are you going to obey the ultimate power, who is YAHUAH, the creator of life? Or you are going to obey YAHUAH's creation, which is a man that gives his own command, that goes against the command of Abba YAHUAH? Now choose, who will you obey? Let's read on. Verse 15. I will give you one more chance to bow down. Now, they have already blown the horn. People are bowed down. He said, because of this, he wants to see them if they will disobey him directly. I will give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I have made. When you hear the sound of the musical instruments, so when you hear the sound of the musical instruments, I will give you the time now. When you hear the sound of the musical instrument, if you don't bow down, but if you refuse, you will be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then, what power will be able to rescue you? Is that challenging them? Is that this very part here is very important. This end of it, King Nebuchadnezzar is not saying he wants to see the power that is making them to disobey. The power. What power will be able to rescue you from my power? Now it's two powers: the power of the Most High Abba YAHUAH, the creator of life, and the power of the king Nebuchadnezzar. So he wants to see the power that will rescue them from his hand. Oh, Abba YAHUAH, people know, if they know this truth, they will focus in you always. Always. They know the power that your command carries. If you know the power that the command of Abba YAHUAH carries, you will focus in Abba continuously. Let's read on. Ananiah, which is Shadrach, Mishael, which is Meshach, and Azariah, which is Abednego, replied, O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. Now he said, what power will rescue you? Then they now reply to him, oh Nebuchadnezzar. They did not even call him king this time. They just call him directly. Oh Nebuchadnezzar, we did not need to reply. We did not need to reply you with these your words that you are saying. He said, oh Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. It's not we that will defend us. The only thing that we need to do, this is very important. The only thing that you need to do is to be obedient to YAHUAH's command. That's just your work. Leave the other things. Just forget every other thing. Yours is to be obedient, obey YAHUAH's daba, which is his command, and see YAHUAH's mighty ends at the end of the day, because they are testing YAHUAH's power. Nebuchadnezzar want to test the ultimate power. It's the ultimate.